And I was like, and I was like, and I was like, and I was like,
Life's a trip, so I decided to compile a list of everything that make me say, ain't that a bitch? In order to get a treat, you gotta do a trick. That usually leaves you with.
And as far as your private loans, where did you take your private loans from? Was it from a lender or was it from a bank?
It was from a lender.
Like Sallie Mae?
Yeah, one of those Sallie Mae type companies, yeah.
And did any of your parents co-sign for your loans or no?
Yes.
Okay. And are they calling your parents'
Of
house?
course. It never fails. Every time that I've never been more than 30 days late, but anytime that if you have student loans, like anytime that you don't make, if the payment is due on the 15th and it's not paid on the 15th, by the 16th they're calling you and they're calling your co-signer. So even if you're one day late, they're calling you and your co-signer, and they have many of times called my father if they couldn't get in touch with, well, even if they have gotten in touch with me, they still call him. And of course, he calls me and say, "You didn't pay your student loan?" And it's annoying. And I actually asked them one time, could they not call him? Could I take his take his number off the contact list? And they said it had to be on there because he was a co-signer. So there was no way around that.
And how many times do they call you or call your father, like in one day? How many times would you say your phone rings from student loan debt collectors calling?
Usually once a day, maybe twice a day. If they don't reach me the first time around, they'll continue to call you throughout the day until they actually reach you. So depending, if I actually answer, then it'll be once that day, but then they'll call once a day until the payment is made. But yeah.
I took my loans out by myself because I had established pretty good credit, so I was able to take them out, and I didn't go over a capped amount that I would need them to co-sign.
Did your parents co-sign for your loan or no?
I believe my parent did co-sign for one of the loans.
And since your parents co-sign, when you're behind on your payments or something, do they call them or do they harass them?
Well, it hasn't been my experience. If I'm behind, that they call my parent because my loans are consolidated, so it's a lump sum at this point in time. So whenever I'm late, they're calling me, and they call twice, 3 times a day.
Does that bother you?
That bothers me. To know that a person does not have the ability to make a hefty payment, but they're willing to make a partial payment, and they don't want to receive the partial payment, that's bothersome.
Well, they did review my credit because I did everything online and by phone. So, and I had a credit card with Bank of America, so they could see that I had a card with them, so they could see how I was dealing with my credit there. I also had other credit cards at that time, and I had a student checking account with them. So I had like an established relationship with them already. So it wasn't much to review. They could just go and have access to all of my information.
How do you feel about that too? Because like the older generation now, they call them baby boomers.
Yeah.
How do you feel like when they went to school, tuition prices was like not very
Yeah.
expensive? And how do you feel about now as far as the tuition like fluctuating and
Yeah.
prices going up as far as getting education in America?
Well, I mean, again, like, it keeps people out, I mean, we're talking about, not just this economy, but the world economy crashing, essentially. And we're setting up an environment where people will not even be able to get minimum wage or white collar jobs because they're not going to have the education which will prepare them for those positions. So we're not going to advance forward, basically. Yeah, I mean, that's difficult, but I mean, I think that speaks to a larger issue, not just with student loan debt. I think it speaks to our education system that, the fact that people will change careers 10 times, that people need to know how to be a jack of all trades. And our educational system is not set up like that. It is set up for people to not necessarily think all the time, but to regurgitate material. So when they're out in the real world, if they're not swimming, they're sinking because they can't recover as quickly. Government loans are in deferment right now, because there is a period with the way I work. Sometimes there is a reduction of hours. So when the hours go back up, then I will be paying my government loans, which will be in August.
And do you feel like you're ready to start paying those loans?
Ready or not, this is what it's gonna be. So I'm gonna have to figure out other ways to make sure that they're paid, or talk with them about making other arrangements.
So when you talk to them, are they like lenient with you? Do they say like, okay, we can arrange you to pay this much, or do they say no, this is the rate and you can't go no lower than this rate?
They will give you kind of the different options, extended or graduate, or the different ways you can repay. And if you can't do that, then you can work with them in terms of an amount you'll pay, but they will let you know, like, this is not even getting the unpaid interest. It's going to just extend out your time, which is stressful because you're seeing this balance that doesn't seem to be going down. It's just kind of staying there.
Do you think your life would have been a little bit different if you had taken out student loans to pay for school, or do you think it would be pretty much the same?
Absolutely different. Even the Obamas just recently paid off their student loans. So I think that goes a lot, that goes very far in saying where we are as a nation and what we do with our student loans and how much tuition costs and how much it costs for us to pay it back. On the flip side of that, however, that debt is good debt. It's considered good debt that then builds your credit. So it's something that I don't have. So either side, it's a double-edged sword. There's a pros and cons to either side of it. I don't have that debt that's accruing that then gives me that credit. But again, I don't have that hanging over my head of that constant worry about paying for the debt.
Do you have a higher level degree other than a bachelor's?
No, I don't. I just have my bachelor's. I have hopes to obtain my master's in the future, but I do not as of this moment.
Okay, and if you get a master's degree, are you planning on taking out a student loan to pay for this degree?
Yes, I will be paying with a student loan. My parents, that was the promise, and their gift to me was that they would pay for my bachelor's and my undergrad. Grad school is up to me. So my master's will be paid through student loans, absolutely. And hopefully with whatever magnificent job I happen to have at that moment, if they would like to pitch in, I am all about that too. So we'll see what happens.
With that being said, are you a little leery given the climate of the conversations around student loan debt? Are you a little nervous or apprehensive about taking out a loan, or do you feel that because you didn't have to take out the loan during undergrad, that you're a little more aware and understand things a little different, that you may not fall into the pitfalls that some students fall into in taking out these loans? What's your stance on getting the loan to get that master's degree?
I am definitely leery of taking out the student loan for my master's. I do feel that I might be able to escape some of those pitfalls that other students might have been entrapped when they're getting their undergrad degree, especially because my partner has her master's and she had to also, it was the same situation where her parents paid for her undergrad, but master's was up to her and she paid through student loans as well. So having her already experience that, I would have already some knowledge going into it, and then I would also explore any kind of scholarships I could find within the city, the area, the gay community, as well as through the university for me to then apply for my master's. And then after that, the rest is going to be student loans.
And I was like, and I was like,
Second first, fellas. What's this thing with skinny jeans? No room for your friend down in between. Walking side by side, jeans tighter than mine. And I wonder why stores never had my size. Your man no longer even cares what you wear. He in your closet looking for that pair that you share. Staring at your red, saying how his compare. Girl, the signs are all there. It's time to look elsewhere. Now to these old dudes, old fools, old school. Thinking they don't have to follow no rules. Not cool. Trying to Mac but couldn't even tell you what he said. I was too focused on them braids around that bald head. I'm like, why you got those braids?